Now, find the sum if possible. Well, why do we say if possible? Well, it's only possible if the absolute value of R is less than 1. Do we have an R value that's less than 1 in this case? You say, yeah, because R is equal to 3/4 in this case, which is less than 1. That's nice. Okay, that's very nice. And then what? And then we say, all right, what's the first term now? Pay attention. Here, the n is 0. So so instead of saying A1, our first term will be A0. And A0 in this case will be just 8. Because when n is equal to 0, the 3/4 to the 0 power is just 1. So A0, it's 8. So your sum, it's very straightforward. So if you look at the equation, I'm just going to use S in this case. A1, which is 8 over 1 minus 3/4. What's 1 minus 3/4? 1/4. And what's 8 over 1/4? 32. Okay, 32. So basically what we're saying here is that, oh yeah, so if you have a graph, that looks like this, okay, and goes down all the way here, and if it keeps on going all the way to infinity, hey, what's the area here? You can actually calculate the area is 32. Now, that's a concept in calculus that I don't need you to fully understand right now, but I just want to show you so that you know what you're calculating. Okay, and that's why we say, yeah, it's possible to find out the area because, you know, it's a restricted region. Okay. Now, if you look at the second example down below, it's very similar, except that the R is not 3/4, but negative 3/4. Your A0, it's still 8. So we say, well, what's the sum in this case? Well, A0, it's 8. And then 1 minus negative 3/4, which is not 1/4 now. In this case, it will be 7/4. So what's happening here is that you would do 8 times 4, which is 32, divided by 7. So your sum is now a little bit less, a little bit less. And if you wonder why it is less, well, if you think about, you actually get the list of numbers. The first number is 8. The second number will be a negative number. So you're adding positive and negative numbers together. So of course, that would be less than 32. And to visualize it with a graph, this is what's going to happen. So what I really hope is that that what I'm showing you right now could create a little vague image that when you go to calculus next year, you still have something. So that's what's going on. So you have a graph that's like flip-flopping between the, going up and below the x-axis. And a simple idea is this. Well, we're looking at the area, right? Well, any area above the x-axis is considered positive. Any area that's below the x-axis is considered negative. So that's why between this graph and this graph, we have a huge difference. This is 32, and this is not 32. This is 32 over 7, because the negative area took a little bit out of the 32. So it's just a fraction of 32 now. Yes?
So if you were to like count the negatives as a positive area, would it be 32?
Yeah. Now, that's a very good question. Then that will be a concept that you would do in calculus. So if you do the absolute value, okay, if you do the absolute value of this whole expression, that will be 32. That's a good, very good point. Okay.